Hola huevones! Today I'm going to talk to you about my experience at Quinta Hobby. And so for this video I just want to tell you guys a little bit about the event, just so for those of you who are maybe in the area and interested in going next year, you can just kind of hear my thoughts now on now that I've experienced the first major Quinta Hobby event there that they pulled off. And I think it was a really big success. I had a really great time. I know the other guests also had a really great time. So I just want to tell you guys a little bit about it. Rather than doing like a vlog video of like my trip, I didn't take a ton of video. I was kind of just there to just kind of enjoy the event, you know, helping out with the event and everything. And so I wasn't taking a lot of video a lot of the time, but I did take some video, so I'll kind of lay that in here throughout this video now that I'm just kind of talking about the event. So for me to get to there, it took quite a long time. I had to take a train up from where I live here in Korea up to Seoul, and then a bus from Seoul to Incheon, where the actual airport is, then fly from Incheon to Dallas, and then fly from Dallas to Santiago. So it was a little bit of a trek. It was like 30 hours, something like that, traveling just to get to Chile. And then once I arrived there in Santiago, they picked me up and we drove to Vina Del Mar, which is not too far from there. It's about an hour. It's a really beautiful city. This was my first time in South America, so it was really interesting just to kind of see what everything was like. I honestly didn't really know a whole lot about Chile going into this, so it was really interesting for me just to kind of go to a place that I really had no idea what it was going to be like. So first of all, the weather was beautiful. It was nice and warm and like summertime weather there, but during the day it would get really hot, but the wind was still really cold, like I guess from the mountains or from the sea. Either way, I guess it's between mountains and sea, so the wind was still pretty cold. So it was nice, it was refreshing. Even when it was super hot, it was very comfortable weather, I think. So it was nice for me because here in Korea now it's winter, so it was a nice change of pace for me. The first day that we were there, we went around a little bit, and then I had some free time in like the late afternoon, evening to just kind of walk around. So I was just walking around the area. Vina Del Mar is a really popular area, I think, among Chile, as I've heard, like a more kind of touristy area. So there was a lot of restaurants and there was like a really nice coffee shop that I found, and it was right near the beach from the venue, which is at Hotel O'Higgins, there in like the center of Vina Del Mar. To walk to the beach was like a 20-minute walk. I walked down there and saw the beach at sunset. That was really nice. So just had a really kind of relaxing, chilled out first day, just kind of exploring around the area. I just did a lot of walking, really, while the staff was kind of doing the last minute preparations for the event, so I was just kind of like hanging out there. That night though, the other guests all arrived, so in total, like the guest judges and presenters, there was 4 of us that were the judges for the event, and then we also gave our master classes throughout the event. So the first one, there was Pablo Albornoz. He was from Argentina, which is right nearby, so he was the closest. Then also Vinny Pompeo, he was from Brazil, so he also came from there. Pablo was there also like as a representative of AO, and Vinny was also there representing Ammo by MIG. And then the other guest was Suresh Nathan. He came from Singapore. He's a super detailed like scratch build diorama modeler and other things, airplane models and things like that as well. And the other 2 guys as well, mostly aircraft, and they also do other things, tanks and military models and stuff like that. For the Gunpla, then there was me doing the Gunpla and sci-fi mecha models and things like that. So those were the 4 guests. The next day, Saturday, after some nice breakfast there at the hotel, we were doing like the last minute preparations, getting everything set up for the event, and the event kicked off around 12:30, 1 o'clock. Once everything was all brought in, everyone all was coming in and checking in their models and getting all their models set up on the table. So in the space, we had like the main space in the main hall there, and in the center we had the space for all the models for the contest to all be displayed, and then on the outside of the room we had the space for the vendors. So they had like their normal vendors. They had a couple of different hobby shops with some different models and supplies, paints and all that kind of stuff, and like the staff from the shops were all there to help advise people about different products and things like that. So it was really cool. They also had a couple more really interesting vendors as well. One of the vendors was a local beer vendor, which was really cool. Really great idea, I think. So it was nice. You could just get some beer right there in the event from just a local beer brewery. So that was cool. And then the other one was also just a business of a guy and his girlfriend who make these like custom display cabinets. They were really, really great. I got to know them pretty well as well just over the short time that we were there. and the stuff that they make was also really cool. So I should also take this time to mention that down below I'll put a bunch of links down below. I'll put links to the pages of the other guests, the ones that do have pages. Like Suresh doesn't have a page for his modeling, but if I can try to find just like a couple examples of his work or something on some blogs, I'll maybe try to put that on there just so you guys can see his work. But Vinny, I know, has a page. Pablo, I think, maybe also just has a page. I'll put the stuff, and then I'll put some links to some of the vendors that were at the event down in the video description as well, so you guys can check that out. Again, just if you're living in the area, you can know about the shops. And then also, aside from the main hall, they also had a space outside too, where there happened to be the hotel swimming pool as well, but there was also a couple of tables set up there outside. One was like a local like Transformers group, I think it was, and another one was like a local group of like war reenactors. So they had like all the different clothing outfits from different wars like throughout history, and historical like copies of different weapons and things like that. So they were going around with that. So there was their table there, and there's a couple other tables. Also there we had a space as well for us, for the organizers and the guests to display some of our models. So some of the staff of the event had some of their models on display there, and I took my Gundam G40. So that was kind of like the world premiere there of that, because I hadn't yet shown it to you guys yet, the completed model, but I completed it just before I went there. So I took that with me just to have on display there. So I had that on display there at the event as well. So the first day was a lot of fun. Over the course of the afternoon, we each gave our masterclasses. So Pablo, Vinny, Suresh, and I went in that order of just giving our classes to around about 15 people so each for our classes. So it was pretty good, and just a nice small little group. We could just kind of talk about what we talked about. We each talked about different things, of course. Pablo and Vinny talked about painting, weathering techniques and things like that. Suresh talked about scratch building. I was talking about some Gunpla advice, things like that, about aesthetics, Gunpla aesthetics. And Saturday night, once everything was all finally done and dusted and we finally got out of there, we went for a very late dinner. Before dinner, actually, they took us up to this space like at the top of this hill, like at the edge of town, that we could like see all the city. So it was really nice. We all went up there, all the event staff and the guests, all of us. So that was really nice, just kind of see the whole city at night. That was cool. And then we went for dinner, which was kind of like a late dinner. I had Torianos, I think was the name of it. I had to check if that was right, but just a mountain of French fries, then topped with a mountain of like barbecue pulled beef, not pulled pork, but it was like that, but with beef, and then some like fried eggs on top. And so it was a huge amount of food, and it was like kind of late, and I was just like tired because it was a long, busy day, and just from the jet lag as well, because the whole time, like all of us, the event staff was just working super hard, so they were all tired, and like for us guests too, we were dealing with jet lag and just like also just being tired, just working all day, going around the event and just chatting with people and everything. but it was some really good food. We also tried some piscolas, which I wasn't really a big fan of. It's some kind of like Chilean cocktail basically with pisco and Coke, and it just wasn't really for me. So I think next time I go, I'll probably just stick with beer, because there were some great Chilean beers there that I had. So I think that's probably what I'll stick with next time. Maybe no more piscolas or pisolo, anything like that. But it was still cool to try, the different local drinks and stuff. So that was good. So we had a nice late night Saturday. Sunday we had to wake up super early though to judge all of the entries. So we all were down there between 8 and 9 a.m. Not super early, I guess, but between 8 and 9 a.m. we're all down there getting to all the judging. So the judging was just done by the four of us, and we split it up to the different categories. So like for me, I judged all the Gunpla stuff, and also the Star Wars and the mecha models and the fantasy minis, and so like the stuff that's more towards like what I do, and like the other guys did judge other sections of the contest. So there was quite a few different categories, so there was a lot of different categories for people to enter. There was a lot of model kits in general. I was really surprised with how many model kits were there. It was really a good showing of a lot of stuff, and a lot of really quality stuff there as well, so it was nice. And what's really amazing about that is that this is like their first time really going at this kind of big sort of event like this. I think next year, now that they've had one successful year, and like people around the area will know like, oh hey, that was like actually pretty successful. There's a lot of people who didn't go this year because they weren't sure how the event was going to go, but now they've seen that it was a success. I think next year they'll probably be easily quite a lot more I would imagine, than what they had this past year. So if you didn't go this year, next year definitely you should go and check it out. But anyway, it took us a while to do all the judging because we were, going at it and just doing all the judging, thoroughly, properly, and everything. So it took us like 3 hours. People were already coming into the event by the time we finished, so we had to finish like under guard. I had one of the staff members like guarding each of us like while we were still doing the judging. So that was good. We were able to finish comfortably while we were finishing our judging. So we finished all the judging. We got some lunch. We did another round of masterclasses there for people who couldn't join maybe the first day. They could join the second day. So we did another round of our masterclasses on that day, and then we had the final ceremony around, I think it was around 6 or 7 p.m. So they went through and announced all of the winners, and so there was a bunch of winners, there was a bunch of prizes. The prizes, I know some of the prizes were just provided from the staff, just donations from the staff, but most of the prizes were donated by different shops that were there as vendors at the event. So that was part of the fee for the shops to join in the event, was partly to also donate kits for the prizes for the winners. So there was a bunch of winners to go through, and so they went through all of those, and everyone got their prizes. It was a lot of fun. I also, for the winners of the Gunpla prizes, I also helped present the prizes for those. And so once that was finally all done, everyone could finally take a big deep breath, and especially the organizers. And I mentioned this before about the organizers working very hard, but the organizers and the staff there worked really super hard. So I have to give them a ton of credit. Everyone there at the staff, just fantastic job to all of you guys, and just all of you guys who maybe know these guys who are the organizers, the staff of the event. Definitely, if you went to the event, or if you're planning on going to the event next year, just reach out and tell them thanks for the good job, because they did a lot of work. They did a ton of work organizing this and doing all the setup and the takedown of the event and everything, making sure everything was going as smoothly as possible. So Sunday night, after clearing out everything there at the event, we went out to eat dinner, and we didn't get to a restaurant until really late. And then by the time we actually got food at the table, it was like 12:30. So we ate dinner after midnight that night, which didn't seem too out of the ordinary for those guys. I've heard that Chileans eat kind of late, but we definitely had that experience that in Chile we ate dinner pretty late usually. So that night just was, I think, especially late, just because we finished the event, and then there was a lot of work to do. So we had our late dinner, which was also really good. We had a big mountain of meats and French fries again, and it was like steak and sausages and all sorts of meat on this giant thing. So that was really good, and we should just eat really well. And then we just went back to the hotel, slept. And then Monday, I had some time still on Monday as well. So what we did was we went to Polar Hobbies, which is a different hobby shop in Santiago. Once we all met up there on Monday morning, late Monday morning, around noon or so, around 11, 12 there. We left from Vina Del Mar and went into Santiago. For some people who maybe couldn't come out to Vina Del Mar for the event over the weekend, so those are people who were just living in Santiago who wanted to meet up with me. We had the chance to go there to Polar Hobbies, which was one of the vendors there at the event, but their actual hobby shop was there in Santiago, so we went there. And then there was a handful of people who came in during the time when we were there just to come in and say hello as well, sign a bunch of kits, boxes. People wanted me to sign there, so that's always an interesting experience. And just kind of hung out there in the hobby shop for a while. It was cool, just a really cool little shop. If you guys are ever in the area, if you live in Santiago or if you live near there, it's a cool shop. I definitely recommend you guys go in and check it out. After that, just went out and had some dinner there, and then had to head to the airport, and then came back home. So it was another 30. It was actually slightly longer to come back home because my layover in Dallas was a little bit longer. So it was over 30 hours to come back home. Got back home late Wednesday night and slept. And then yesterday was Thursday, and was meaning to do some work. Was meaning to do this video yesterday, but I was pretty tired, so I just kind of took a long nap yesterday and didn't really do a whole lot. And I did come back with some stuff here, which I'll show you here in a moment. But again, I just want to say a really big thank you to, especially Roberto was the one there, kind of the main organizer of the event, and he was the one who reached out to me and invited me to come to the event. And I was there, hanging out with him quite a bit there at the event. And the other staff, just again to everyone there, Roberto and all the staff of the event, I just want to say really huge thank you for just inviting me, for making the experience a really good, enjoyable, comfortable experience for me. Him and the staff were always asking, hey, do you need anything? Do you want anything? You want something to drink? You need to take a rest? Whatever. So they really took care of us, the guests, and I think they really took a lot of care to take care of just all the visitors to the event as well, the people who brought in their hobbies, brought in their model kits to join in the contest, and just everyone that was there. I can't emphasize enough how great I think the staff was for the event. And the event overall I think was a huge success. I know that at the end of the day, monetarily, basically, they pretty much broke even, which at least I think is better than losing money. But on the plus side, I think they did a ton of work for pretty much, at the end of the day, no profit. So, I mean, they did this just out of their own passion for the hobby. And I know that these guys are super passionate about the hobby. So I really do hope that those of you who did attend the event will reach out to the staff and say thank you. If you haven't already, I know probably a lot of you probably have said your things already, but I think they did an awesome job, and I think they also learned a lot that they can do an even better job next year with the help of your guys' feedback, and me and the other judges, the other guests are giving them our feedback for the event as well. So I think next year will be even better, and I hope that next year they can also, you know, make a little bit more profit for themselves too, because they did do a lot of really good work, and they deserve, you know, to make some profit from that. But that's not really the point. Of course, the point was just that we all had a really great time, and I think it was in that sense, a very successful event. So very good job to everyone there who was on the staff, everyone who came out to display your models, just everyone, just a successful event, I think, on all fronts. So let me just show you guys now for just the last bit, just show you what I came back with. So first thing is that we got these cool bags. So they had the bags for the stuff there, Quinta Hobby. And so this was something that I just bought, for myself, a cigar. So enjoy that later. In here, this was the Hardgraph Core Fighter. This was given to me by the staff there at the Polar Hobby when we went there to visit. They gifted me this kit. So I don't have any Hardgraph kits. I've never built one of the Hardgraph kits. So they wanted to give me this one, and it should be pretty cool. Also, over the course of the weekend, just like hanging out with Vinny and Pablo and Suresh, the other guests there, you know, they all build aircraft and stuff, and so I kept saying like that I need to try building some aircraft or something, and I kept telling them they need to try building some mecha stuff, and so we were kind of like going back and forth, like sharing our ideas about that. So I thought, oh yeah, it's a good chance I can paint this up like aircraft style, like as if it's an aircraft. It's an aircraft, right? So that kind of thing. So so that should be interesting. So I'll work on that later. Also, of course, just brought back a couple of the posters from the event. This one was signed just before we left by Roberto and Patricio there, who I was just hanging out there with on the last day before we left. And another version of the poster here, just another kind of version of that. So a couple of posters brought back just for keepsakes. The other kit there that the staff of the event just gave me, just as a going away present as well, is the Tactical Pod Regalt from Macross. I kept talking about how I've never really built a ton of Macross stuff, and so they wanted to give me something Macross to build. So this is pretty cool, and so I think this one will look good, especially with like some Mac K style painting. Kind of has the kind of similar shapes and stuff to that. So this will be something that I'll work on as well. So thank you to them for that kit as well. Of course, had to get a Quinta Hobby t-shirt, so it just has the logo here on the back of that, like this here. On the front it's just white, so it's all the staff were wearing these all throughout the event, but they gave one to each of us at the end as well. So also from Polar Hobbies, hat and badge from Polar Hobbies there as well. And in here is a cup. I'll put a link to this as well. A mug here for Unlimited Hobbies. This is like a hobby kind of company that there's a couple of the staff there are starting. So I'll put a link to the Facebook page for Unlimited Hobbies down there in the video description as well. It's just a project that they're working on there. And last couple of things are just a couple of things that a couple of the guests The first one is a little keychain empanada. So there you go. That was pretty cool. And this other one here, I forget the name of this. One of you guys will have to remind me in the comments. I guess it's kind of like a traditional Chilean kind of little wood statue here, but it has a pretty interesting surprise here. When it's just really cool like that, but when you open it up, it has a little thing that pops out there like that. So that's fun. And just make sure you guys have a nice close-up on that. Whoop, like that. So there you go. That is the stuff that I came back with. Not a ton of stuff, but some really cool stuff. So thank you to the staff there who gave me some of that stuff, the guests who brought some cool stuff for me, and just everyone who just came out. I know some people came like just to meet me, and so anyone who came out just to say hello, just to take a picture together or whatever, or ask me to sign something. I'm glad to meet all of you guys. And yes, that's a very good point. Should also make as well. Just it was a great time just to meet everyone. Obviously, like the whole experience of joining in the hobby contest and everything, sharing our models, and the experience to do all of that is fun. But of course, just meeting everyone was really awesome as well. Meeting all of the staff and just becoming friends with everyone, just meeting new friends is of course always the best part of the experience. So I had a really great time hanging out with all the staff there, the other guests as well. Pablo, Vini, Suresh, and I had a lot of great times hanging out together. So it was really great to meet up with those guys. I didn't know any of them prior to the event personally, so that was really awesome. So it was a really good time, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully going again in the future. So hopefully I'll be able to go again next year. We'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, I just wanted to share that experience with you guys. For any of you who are maybe interested in that, if you're living in Chile, or even if you're not living in Chile, if you're just interested in hearing about how the event went, it was a really good time. And so I was really happy to be involved and happy that I was able to go and share that with you guys. And I hope that those of you who did attend also had a really great time as well, and hope to see you all again there in the future next time. So that's it for this video, guys. In the next couple of videos, I've got some other stuff to share with you guys. I'll have my reveal for you guys, all who weren't at the event, for the review, my final review of the G40. That's all painted up and everything, and then I've got a bunch of stuff to work on. So got a bunch of stuff that I'll have coming out for you guys in the next few weeks going into February. So thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.